Hey everybody, and welcome to the Harrison County Library System's online computer classes. My name is Jeff Conwell. I work up here at the Orange Grove Public Library. If you ever have any questions, come up and visit, or you can drop me a line at g.conwell@harrison.lib.ms.us or librarydude1999@gmail.com. Okay, today's class we're going to learn on how to grow your business with Google. And what you need to know is that Google will help you set up a web page and manage it, and you grow and inform the public about your business. The way they do that, they'll give you these webinars, okay? And I got a listing of a bunch of them at the end of this, but this is just from the PowerPoint presentation that they gave me when I was taking this myself on growing your business with Google. They mentioned how to connect with customers in moments that matter. It says 76% of people who search on their smartphones for something nearby visit that same business within a day. So this is all about your mobile devices and people looking for stuff. They use their smartphones for that. Well, if you take this stuff from Google, it will enable you to be able to advertise your business and be advertised locally. It says here that 80% of consumers use the search engine when looking for local information about local businesses. So there's ways to get listed on Google that they show up according to that particular customer's area. They're called near me searches, near you opportunities. So you go through these steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'll see what it's like. That they connect. The way Google does this is that when they put in the search query, which is what you see up here at the top, whenever you do your Google search, okay, these are going to be ads, and then the local listing will be right here, and then below that, notice that says, if you can probably can't see that so close. That tiny little thing says ad, but below that it's just a plain link to the website, and that's called an organic search result. So you want to get listed in the business listing that comes up when they do their search for that a particular either the type of business it is or the actual name of the business. The main thing you want to do is you want to be found by local customers. First, you just create a Google My Business listing free. Then you can you optimize your website search for mobile and just for regular laptop and desktop searches so that you're found everywhere on all devices. And then you advertise your business with Google, and you want it so that you're found with online advertising. And then they also have a whole bunch of other tools with their Grow Your Business agenda. To be found by local customers, like I said, this is you go to jibo.com business, and this right here is a business listing so that you can input your data for your hours, your contact information, new updates. The information appears on desktop, laptops, tablets, and smartphones looking like this. So this is a laptop, that's a tablet, and then this is what it would look like on your phone. You already, I'm sure, have seen stuff like this when you yourself have searched for something. But how to update the information, when you click into Google My Business account, it's going to give you a chance to where you want to check your information, to edit it. And then if you're on a smartphone, you can even do it this way. You just click on the little pencil on the side to edit your hours of operation. You can even add special hours. And you share updates with posts. You can post live updates directly on your Google Business listing. So like I said, you can input the data on your smartphone, and then it will be posted, and people with their smartphones see what's happening, and they'll get, if they've signed up for you, notifications. They can be notified about something new going on, a sale, whatever. To be found everywhere on all devices. First, what you want to do, you get started with Google My Business website. You create your website, and if you've already claimed your profile, you can follow these steps here to create your website. You sign in to Google My Business. Okay. If you just Google My Business and say get started, that's what you're going to want to do. But if you want to create a website, you're going to go to Google My Business. And then if you have multiple locations, you open the location you'd like to manage. And then you click the website menu to create your website. And you can edit your site at any time by learning how to edit and optimize your site by clicking that link right there. So Google makes it easy. You follow the links and you just do what it says. They even have people to help you out with this. So anyway, you can purchase a custom domain. If you remember from my website class, how if I did in my case artistdude.com versus artistdude@weebly.com. You can purchase a domain name or rent one or use an existing one if you've already created one for your website. And then you can publish or unpublish your website. It's got a cookies policy. Remember, cookies are what identifies your website with the person's device so that they communicate to each other easily. And you can look over their Google My Business website policies. Organic search results, again, are just what comes up without it being necessarily an ad. But you can be found on the top of the list for Google. To help understand your site, they've got a lot of helpful tools to use where your organization is going to be what matters. You're going to want to be able to you want to be able for the person who's looking at your website to navigate it easily, okay? And that's why organization matters. And to have useful original content so that the people who look for stuff find that stuff, what they're looking for. The text links that you want to make sure that all those hyperlinks that you see are those blue lettering are active and it's going to work. They don't just click on the link and then nothing happens. It's page not found or whatever. You want to make sure that's all right, and then they'll help you make good page titles and descriptions of each page in your website. And it also will allow you to have a fast load time. That's very important for people if it's taking too long for your site to load because you may have like 20 videos or something posted on it. That's going to make a difference whether a person's going to even look at your website. So you can optimize all of this stuff using your Google tools. They can diagnose your site and everything. But before you begin, you got to make a plan. You want to know, why do you want a website? Who's your target audience? How is the success going to be measured? Is it going to be in sales or is it going to be in visits? And then you need to organize to achieve those goals. You're going to have a timeline that you're set up for yourself to do all this and when to update it, because you're always going to be needing to update stuff. And then the best practices for mobile devices, to focus on your navigation and your home page so that the person doesn't feel like a flea that's looking at an elephant through a keyhole. I keep saying that, but you want to be able for people to grasp the essence of your website, your business, at one glance on the home page, and then make it easy to go to the next step. So you put that little search tool on there for make it easy to search the website. That makes it really easy. They can just type in what they're looking for and then find it. You want to make it easy to complete tasks. Nobody likes jumping through 1,000 hoops just to get a simple answer. So you can look at a tool that they use for that. And you want to make it easy to fill out the form. So what you ask for isn't anything that anybody else doesn't ask for. It's going to be, just a simple matter of putting the little star by the boxes that need to be filled out. And then also you want to optimize it for usability so that people have a good chance to I mean, just you want to go back to it. Then they have, if you go to test my site at .thinkwithgoogle.com, they can test your mobile speed. They can see how effective it is in the download time and all of that. So that's a pretty cool tool to have. Other ways to promote your website include using receipts and other print materials. You can ask your customers in store to write a review, or you could even ask them after they made a purchase online to make a review. And you can use email for efficient communications. You know, if people sign up with an email about your site, you can send them out emails whenever you have like new things going on in your store. And then you use your social media like Facebook, Twitter, and all that to develop relationships with customers, and not just that, but your community as well. And to be found with online advertising, again, this is an ad right there where you see where it says ad in the green letters right there. And then these are ads. The first things that come up at the top with the pictures are ads. But this is an organic search right here, and that below is organic search. And they got partner websites with ads that are targeted to the right customers. You can have an ad on the side right there that you'll see. Usually it's on the right-hand side. And then they'll have below, almost below the fold. Remember, below the fold is at the bottom. But, I mean, below the bottom, actually. That you'll have at the very bottom like a little thingy there. That's an ad as you see it on the mobile sites. Ooh. They have you can pay Google for advertising where the only thing you're actually going to pay for is when somebody clicks on the links to go to your site, or they make a phone call by clicking on your phone number that's advertised on Google. That ads display when people search for stuff, that's like when it comes up on the side there, like I just showed you. You control where the ads are displayed, and this also allows you to control the budget. You're going to tell Google how much money do you want to spend per month, and they'll give you an according way to do it. You may need to negotiate with that, but anyway. And then they have, if you AdWords Express, you go to Gybo, that's GYBO.com, and then AW Express, and enter your business details. You choose a category. You can write an ad, decide where to display the ads, you set a budget, and then you launch. And then they have this number that you can call, 855-607-0426, to help you to get your advertising up and running. You want an expert to manage your online ads? Well, you can connect with what's called a Google Partner. If you go to google.com/partners, just follow up with that and see if they can help you find somebody with your advertising. You ready for more? Well, they've got this. You can get data, tools, and diagnostics for a healthy Google-friendly website by going to google.com/webmasters. So that you want to be found on the web, this will help you do just that. And then Google and Analytics, which is really cool. Analytics are going to study how visitors find your site, what they did when they got there, and it measures the effectiveness of online and offline marketing campaigns. If you go to google.com/analytics, they can help you out with seeing how the public interacts with your website. And then you can look for trends to see, you're forming your business plans and seeing where things are headed. You can go to google.com/trends to find things out like that. Like if people search for gluten-free, or in this one, vegan, and then vegetarian, you can see where the trend goes up, and the red is vegan. So at the very end, that little triangle up here indicates that people are all of a sudden looking for vegan stuff. So anyway, Google Alerts, You can get alerts sent to your phone or your email about interesting new content by going to google.com/alerts. You know, if you write out that somebody maybe in a similar business, if you want to find out whenever they've got some new content, you go to google.com/alerts and they can send you something on it. You tell your story with YouTube. Now, I'm sure y'all all know by now that YouTube has gone under the Google Chrome umbrella. They're actually part of Google now. And that you can use this interface, this platform, for building an audience for your business. And just these stats right there: 1 in 4 shoppers watch product videos while actually in the store, and 68% of YouTube users watched a YouTube to help them make a purchase decision. All you got to go is to youtube.com, and they're going to have like a business side of it that go through with Google. And G Suite, you're looking for a professional you want to look professional with custom business email at yourcompany.com. There are 5 reasons to use it. You get 24/7 support. You get a 99.9 uptime guarantee. It's automatically backed up. It's accessible from any device, and it's private and secure. So just go to google.com/G Suite, and it will help you get that professional look that you want to get set up as with your custom business email. Resources for selling online. If you go to the Google Merchant Center, you can upload your store and products to Google by going to google.com/retail/merchant-center. So that you can be, it's going to be like, I'm not going to exactly say Walmart, but it's going to be like you're going to have a bunch of different vendors all over the place, but it is with Google. So, and then they've also got Google Shopping campaigns to show product images, prices, and business names in the search results. You just go to google.com/retail/shopping-campaigns to find out more info about that. And then all you need for this is to sign into Google. And if you don't have a Google account, you click Create an Account to get started. So google.com/accounts, or just click Google and then create an account, and it will allow you to get started. Of course, my advice to you would be to make a business sounding name, something professional, especially if you want to dedicate an email account, a Gmail account, just for the sake of your business. Make one different that's just with Google so that everything's in one place for you to look at. If you want to learn more, they've got lots of online lessons. If you go to jibo.com/lessons, and on your phone you can do it too. These are a bunch of resources. If you want to take a screenshot of this, or take your camera out on your phone and take a picture of that, a bunch of different sites. Then this is a listing of seminars that just came to me that I'm able to look at, individually as after the seminars are done as a video. And I would recommend just signing up for Grow My Business with Google seminar. If you just search for that, you can sign up for one of these free seminars. And this is the ones that were just listed. It's get your local business found on Google Search and Maps, make your website work for you, sell online with e-commerce tools, reach customers with online with Google, digital skills for everyday tasks, use YouTube to grow your business, and learn the basics of Google Ads. So speaking of that, what I want you to do next with me is to look at this video that a young man by the name of Jason Whaling allowed me to use this in streaming with the Facebook classes that we've been doing. So without further ado, I'm going to let you listen to this guy. And remember, guys, when you're finished, if you got any questions, drop me a line at g.conwell@harrison.lib.ms.us or librarydude1999@gmail.com. Okay, now we're going to listen to Jason give his thing on. You can find more about his site at jasonwhaling.com. This is about Google Ads.
Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this video, you're going to learn the simple 4 steps to setting up your first Google PPC campaign for Google search ads. So go ahead and make sure you check out that timestamp table of contents in the description. And if you want to skip the first 3 steps and jump straight into the click-by-click building the campaign inside of Google Ads, here's the timestamp to do that. Now, before we get into the very first step, which is the offer, I want to quickly go over how Google Ads campaigns are structured and should be structured. So at the very top, we're going to have our campaign, and this is where we're going to choose our product or service. We want to have one product, service, or offer per campaign. Then inside of our campaigns, we pretty much have unlimited ad groups. And this is where we choose who our ads are going to be shown to. We're going to be using keywords as our way of identifying our ideal customers. And then finally, inside of our ad groups, we can have our ads, which is what actually shows up and hopefully gets our ideal customers to click. And so we'll be going through each one of these steps and starting with the offer, because without knowing what our offer is, we can't start putting together our campaign. So when it comes to your offer, I'm going to go through a couple of examples that you can use as a services-based business or an e-commerce business. But we really just want to know, what do we need to present to people who are on Google search in order to get them to click our ad? It isn't always going to be necessarily what you ultimately want to sell them. We just need to get that click first, and then we can worry about the sale. So we just want to look for something that's going to get that call, email opt-in, or initial visit. So we just need them to click first. We don't have to try and sell inside of our ad. That's very important. So if you're a services-based business, you should be using something called a landing page, where you're essentially trying to collect contact information, collect that lead so you can follow up with them in the sales process. If you are a product-based business, you want to drive them directly to your product page. Notice neither of these are your homepage. You do not want to be driving traffic directly to your homepage. So here's some examples of what you can offer. If you're a services-based business, then you're going to want to offer something called a lead magnet. I'll link up to a playlist in the description that goes through how to put together a landing page and a lead magnet funnel if you're not familiar with it. But essentially, you're going to offer something of value in exchange for their contact information, whether this is a free consultation, an estimate, a demo. This can be a free tool or calculator on your website. Then if you are an e-commerce business or services business, the next one we have is a front-end offer. And this is something you want to think of as your doorbuster or your first purchase. Like, what is the low price thing that you can offer somebody to get them in the door or to get them onto your site? Now, if you don't want to be creative and you want to go straight to your primary service as a services-based business, then you're going to want to choose one service that you provide to local customers. So this only works if it's an actual service that someone has to physically come to your location for. If this is a service that's done digitally or can't be taken care of in one visit, then this is not a good option. And then finally, for e-commerce and for services-based business, we have the big fish offer. And these are high ticket priced items that give you a tremendous high margin, but you have a low sales volume. And the reason that they need to be high ticket is because typically the keywords you're going after for those particular customers are going to cost a lot. But if you stick it out and you spend enough money, you're actually going to see a really, really good return on that service. So you definitely want to make sure that if you're choosing something that is a big ticket offer, you have a lot of margin on it, because it's going to be very expensive to get that customer in the door compared to the first 3 that we went to. So hopefully that helps in figuring out what you can and shouldn't be advertising. So again, with our service-based business, we want a landing page where we collect their name, email. If you absolutely need the phone number, then you can. But the more information you ask for, the less leads you're going to get, because your opt-in rate is going to be lower, and your product page should be directed at one product directly related to the search. Again, even if you're an e-commerce business, you have a bunch of products on your site, please don't send people to your homepage, and don't send people to a product category page. Send them to a specific product. Now, we're not going to be doing Google shopping ads, but I highly recommend you check out how to set up Google Merchant Center later on after you set up your search ads. So hopefully you have an idea of what your offer is going to be. Now let's talk about search terms. And this is where it's really easy to get caught up in trying to find every single keyword that you should be going after. And when you're just getting started, it's better to have too few keywords than too many, especially if you're working on a tight budget. So let's just go through this quick example. There we go. Quick example. So we have our ad in the middle, right? And then we have all of these potential customers that are searching on Google. Now, the length they are from your ad represents how close they are to actually doing business with you, because not all search terms and keywords are created equally. Now, there's typically 3 phases that a customer is going through before they're actually ready to click on your ad. So if we break down one of these lines here, we can see first a curiosity and learning. They're just trying to figure out whether or not they even need your product or solution. Then once they know they need your product or solution, then they're shopping around. And finally, they're ready to make a buying decision. Now, what's important is the type of search that each one of these people are making is different at each phase. So what we want to do is make sure we're only bidding on keywords at the very top when they're actually ready to make the buying decision, as opposed to just shopping around or curiosity and learning. So here's a concrete example. Let's say we are a bike shop. So in red, we have the keywords that we wouldn't want to go after, like mountain bike review or mountain biking for beginners. We have no idea what this person wants to buy. Whereas in green, we have a fictitious mountain bike here, and then we have a mountain bike shop near me. So both of those searches, while very simple, represent people who are actually ready to buy. They're actually looking to buy a mountain bike, whereas the red is just people who are learning about mountain biking, and yellow kind of fits in the middle, best mountain bikes for beginners. You could possibly rank well for this if you were doing content marketing, but generally when you're doing search ads, there's going to be a lot of competition for that keyword because it's so broad, but we'll still try it because we're going to kick things off with 3 different ad groups. Now, the good news is I have you covered on all of your keyword research. You don't need to go using Google Keyword Planner for the next 3 hours to try to figure out what you should and should not target, although I'll link in the description to a video that goes through how to do that after you're done with this tutorial. So we have 4 main categories. We have location plus service and location plus profession. This is great for services and lead generation. And then if you're e-commerce, you're going to want to look for those shopping around keywords, and then general keywords around your product or the type of business that you have. And so for a concrete example, here's what that can actually look like. So as you can see, for location, we can have Seattle PPC management or Seattle teeth cleaning. Here, we're specifically calling out the city or neighborhood that our business is in, and then saying exactly what the person is searching for. Now, this might seem so elementary. You go, there's no way this can work. And complexity is the enemy of success here. You want to be simple with your keywords. People are not typing in super long searches when they're trying to fix a problem or looking for a local service. Now, when it comes to e-commerce, the best way to go is actually specifically going general and having your specific product name as the search term. So if you are selling, for example, a mountain bike, you wouldn't just want to say mountain bike. You would want to put the exact type of mountain bike you have and have that ad link directly to that product page. Yes, that's a lot of work, but you're going to find that you're going to get the right people coming to your site because you want to be connecting with people who are actually looking for your product, not people who are just generally browsing around, because that's very expensive to pay for someone else who's essentially just kicking tires and window shopping. So again, there's a timestamp table of contents in the description. You can always come back and pause and modify these examples and the previous slide here to fit your business. And here's an example of what this would look like inside of your ad groups. So you would have one ad group that's targeting search terms around location plus service, and then you'd have another ad group that targets location plus profession. And when we go click by click inside of Google Ads, we will be using these exact keyword formulas to build out our ad groups. Now, something that's very important is you don't have to know everything now when it comes to your keywords, because after a week or two of running traffic, Google will tell you exactly what keywords you're showing up for. So make sure you add this to your notes. Hopefully you're taking some. Inside of your keywords report, after you've run ads for a couple of days or weeks, you're going to be able to click on keywords and click on search terms, and every keyword your campaign ever shows up for will be right here. This will be an absolute goldmine. And really by the end of this tutorial, you'll see that this is going to be the best way to conduct your keyword research, because this is going to tell you real world data specific to your business, what keywords are and aren't working. And it's going to be so much more accurate than what you can get with any paid keyword research tool out there. So now let's go ahead and talk about messaging. This is the final step before we actually go click by click inside of Google Ads. Now, the best way to figure out what the heck to say in your ads is to just type in some of those search terms in your local area to see what ads are already showing up. Now, you may need to use a VPN if you're doing it from another country and you're advertising in a different country to actually get the real results. But here is an example of a search in Seattle for PPC management agency. So there's three main things you want to look for. The first thing you want to look for are the power phrases. What is being offered, or what results or promises are being made? So here in red, in the first one, we have ROI driven, ROI focused. The next one, we have increasing ROI. We have help businesses grow. We have highly specialized PPC experts. These are all things to try and stand out from the other ones. Now, if we were going through and making our own, obviously ROI is very important in this particular search. Then we also want to look for offers. And this is what is being offered specifically to get someone to click. So the first one, they're giving a free consultation. The third one here, they're giving a free review, and they're also offering case studies. You see number 2 and number 4 doesn't actually seem to have a specific offer. They just seem to be generally talking about PPC management. But here, if I was going to start running ads as a PPC agency, I'd probably want to include an ad that had something about ROI, and then also something that offered either a case study or a free consultation, because it gives the prospect a reason to click, and a micro commitment, which means they're looking for something that's going to start them on the path to buying, as opposed to ad number 2 and ad number 4, where they probably would have to whip out their credit card today. Now, when it comes to e-commerce products, you want to do the same thing. Here we have mountain bikes for sale, and this search was done in the Dallas, Texas area. Now, something that was really interesting on this search was the very first one talked about women, and it talked about racing. So that might be an indication to you that females might be a really good target demographic for bikes. Now, I haven't done any big keyword research in this particular demographic or this area, so I wouldn't know. It might just be a fluke. But here we can see racing bikes and women, for some reason, was so important that they put it in their actual body copy of their ad. Now in yellow, we see that there are some guarantees being made, there's some big sales going on, and fast shipping. And so if you can do this as an e-commerce store, that's something you probably want to add in order to compete if you were in the Dallas area. Now, something to note here, you're going to see, if you're doing e-commerce, a lot of ads that say 70% off or 60% off. Typically what these stores are doing is they're choosing 2 or 3 products that really nobody ever would buy and just giving them a massive discount so they can, quote unquote, ethically say it in their ad. So when you see these types of things, don't always get freaked out where you go, oh my gosh, I can't give 70% off my mountain bikes or my widgets. It's typically not what's going on. I'll leave it up to you and your own ethics, whether you follow suit, but I just wanted to let you know so you don't get freaked out and feel like you can't compete when you see those giant percentages off. Now, when it comes to your ads, there are actually 2 parts. There's the main part of the ad, and then we'll have ad extensions. So we'll go through the main part of the ad first. So you can have up to 3 headlines. Really, you only need to worry about the first 2. And this is where you want to describe your offer and use search phrases to call out attention to your ad. Then you have a URL path 1 and 2 area. And something really sneaky here is you can put urgency phrases in there like sale, discount, limited time, or even buzzwords like free Typically, we found that you can get away with being a little more salesy here in your URL path than you can in your headlines and your descriptions. And then for your description, you have up to 90 characters. We'll go through some examples when we actually dive into the Google Ads interface and build out your campaign. So here's an example of callouts. So if we go back to our examples here, you can see an ad number 3, we have checkout reviews, what we're all about, view our case studies and the services we offer. These are extensions. So we're going to talk specifically about callout extensions and site links. So these are called site links because someone can actually click on them. If we go back to our mountain bike example, you can see in the very first one, most of these ads have site links. The last one actually has a deal, and we'll go through how to put those together when we go click by click. So going back to our example here, callouts are just going to be 25 characters of a standalone title where you're going to want to give some sort of feature or just try and build credibility. So in this particular instance, if we were creating an ad for a PPC agency, we would say we're Google partner, ROI driven, because we saw that everywhere, and then contract free, account ownership, little buzzwords that would get someone potentially excited to actually click on our ad. Then we have site links, which are also 25 characters, which can appear just as little links, or they can appear as a link with a little description. The description that you're seeing here is just an example, and it doesn't always show up. So you want to make sure that the title of your site link can stand alone without the description. And what's cool about site links is they can link to separate pages. So that's all you need to know when it comes to your Google Ads actual messaging. And what's important is you don't have to get it right out of the gate. You will always be testing your ad copy. So just put together something that you think looks great compared to what the competition is, and then just get started. The most important part is getting in the game and getting some actual data. So with that, it's time to actually build your first campaign. If you need to review any of the previous sections, again, detailed table of contents in the description. With this, we are finally ready to jump into the Google Ads interface and actually start building our campaign. Now, if you don't already have a Google Ads account, all you have to do is go to Google and search Google Ads, and you'll be able to set one up for free. So once you have one, you're going to want to click on campaigns and then click on the giant blue plus button at the top to create a new campaign. And you'll be taken to a page that looks something like this with a bunch of different options on different types of campaigns. Now, you're going to start noticing a trend, especially when we first get started with this campaign, and that is Google is going to try to do work for you, and you're going to constantly have to tell Google, no, it's okay, I know what I'm doing. So the first step is choosing to create a campaign without a guidance or a goal. All these other options, all they essentially do is restrict what you can do inside of the campaign, and it automatically puts in settings for you. Because you're watching this video, you don't need to do that. You don't want Google making decisions for you, especially when it comes to how much money you're going to be spending. So let's go ahead and create a campaign without any goals or guidance, and then we'll go ahead and click on continue. We'll select search campaign, and we'll click on website visits. They're just going to ask for you to go ahead and put in your website URL. It's not really important since you're doing your own research, and then we'll go ahead and click on continue. So the first thing we do, of course, is give our campaign a name. Here, I'm just using a simple naming convention. I'm calling it search because it's a search campaign. Then you go ahead and put your offer in because you're only doing one offer per campaign, and then go ahead and put a number just in case you might wind up making multiple campaigns for the same offer in the future. You can easily keep track. And now we get to make the first and arguably most important decision when it comes to setting up our search campaign, and that is unchecking display network. We don't ever want to have more than one network in the same campaign. So we only want to do search. If you want to do display, then you'd make a completely separate campaign for display, mostly because we want to make sure that when we're running our tests, we can clearly see what keyword and what ad is performing. And when you have this display network in here, it's just a jumbled mess, and you're not really going to understand what is and is not working. So we'll go ahead and uncheck that. We'll go to more settings here, and here we're going to be able to set our start and end dates, our campaign URLs, and dynamic search ads. So with the start dates, in previous tutorials, I've recommended a lot of different start and end dates, but here, based upon all of the comments and feedback I've gotten, the best start date is actually next Thursday. And this is simply based upon you're busy, you have other things going on. So let's go ahead and make sure that our weeks start on Thursday. That way you don't have to jump into your ads account Monday morning to figure out what needs to be adjusted. And it gives you plenty of time to adjust for the weekends. So we'll go ahead and choose whatever the next Thursday is. And then for the end date, you actually want to set the end date 2 weeks out. The reason you want to do this is because Google will spend your money into oblivion. They will run up your credit card and there will be absolutely no recourse if you forget. So this is your stake in the ground to make sure your safety net is there in case you forget or just life happens. So we want to make sure that Google doesn't run off with our money. So let's just put it 2 weeks out. You can always extend the end date or turn the end date off altogether. And the next one we have is campaign URL options. You're actually going to skip this one. This one is an advanced setting. And unless you've already got a Google Analytics geek working for you, or you have your UTM parameters set up, if that didn't make any sense, then you definitely want to skip it. If you want to learn more about Google Analytics, UTMs, which is the first step to what you're looking at here, I'll link up to a detailed tutorial in the description. This next option we have is dynamic search ads, and we're going to want to skip this. You always want to make and write your own ads. The only time we are ever going to let Google decide what our ad is when you're using Merchant Center for shopping ads on an e-commerce site. Other than that, you always want to skip this no matter what type of campaign you are using. So next we have our targeting and audiences. So this is actually going to be very, very important depending upon the type of business that you have, starting with locations. So when you're working with locations, you're pretty much always going to want to immediately click on advanced search. And here you're going to be able to drop in the specific locations of where you want your ads to show up. So we're going to click on add bulk locations here. And here's a general rule of thumb, depending upon where your business is. If you're doing business internationally, then you're going to want to make one campaign for each one of your countries. This is because every country is different. So if you're advertising to 3 or 4 countries, you can have 3 to 4 campaigns for that specific country. It's okay if your keywords and your website and your ads are the same. You just need to segment it by country. If you're doing business in just one country, then you want to list out all of the states, territories, and provinces that you want to target. And then if you're regional, so if you're doing business within a state, territory, or province, then you're going to want to target by cities, neighborhoods, and counties. Then if you're a local-based business, you definitely don't want to use the radius feature. You want to type in the specific neighborhoods or specific zip codes of who you want to have your ads appearing in front of. So depending upon which one applies to you, that's what you're going to enter inside of this box. Here, I'm going to pretend like we're doing a national campaign. So in the US, so I'm just going to enter in all 50 states and go ahead and click search. You'll see it's 51 because I'm actually including the United States, a country as a whole. And I'll go ahead and click on target all and save. So now we're targeting every single state inside the United States. We need to click on location options because there's something sneaky in here that can actually wind up wasting some of your ad spend. And that is under target. You see right now by default, it says people in or who show interest in. Now, I don't know about you, but I have no clue what that means. And I don't care if someone is interested in the particular place that I'm advertising. I need them to be in that place. This is going to be extremely important if you are local or regional. If you are on a national or international scale, it's probably not as important because we're targeting the entire US. But here we're just going to make sure that we only show the ad to people who are physically in the location that we want. And after that, we are good to go. For languages, you typically want to just have 1 to 2 max. Just choose the primary language of your ideal customer and move on. Typically, Google has it already figured out for you. This is one of the few instances where you can let Google get away with what it has there by default. And next we have audiences. And this is something you're going to want to completely ignore for all of your search campaigns. Audiences are great when you're doing YouTube ads and display network. When it comes to Google search, they are not the best way to go. Using keywords is the best way to go. So we're going to skip this and use it for discovery ads in the future. Now, our last set of settings here is going to be dealing with our budget and bidding. And this is where we really need to be careful, because Google makes a lot of suggestions here that might be in their best interest, but not yours. So first thing we have is the actual budget. So this is how much you're going to spend per day. If you come to this section and you see it's asking for a lifetime budget, that means you made a mistake when setting your start and end dates, and you need to go make sure that you didn't select a lifetime campaign, because a lifetime campaign, when it ends, it actually ends, which is very frustrating. If you find out your campaign's working, you want it to keep going, not have to duplicate the campaign and start over from scratch. So here's just some quick math on how many clicks or website visitors you can expect based upon different daily budgets. Here, I'm just going to go with 10. And of course, Google immediately says, hey, you're not spending enough money. Well, you know what? We're just going to say that's okay, because you can always increase the amount of money that you are spending. So Google is almost always going to tell you to spend more or let them handle the bidding and budget. And you just don't want to do that because it's your hard-earned cash. So you need to keep control over it. Speaking of control, here we go. Again, you'll see there's a green checkbox letting you know that you have chosen the best bidding strategy that for what you're trying to do, which means that you need to ignore Google and take some control. So we're going to go ahead and click on select a bidding strategy and click down to manual CPC, which means we tell Google how much we want to pay per click, as opposed to Google telling us how much our clicks cost. Now, there is a lot of value in some of these other ones that you're looking at after you've figured out what campaigns, landing pages, product pages, and keywords work. Once you have something that's working, Google is amazing at optimizing it, but they absolutely stink when it comes to starting out of the gate. So when it comes to out of the gate, we need to do manual CPC. And of course, Google has one more trick up their sleeve. They're going to automatically check this box, help increase conversions with enhanced CPC. No, we don't want that. And of course, now Google is telling us that we're going to have a lower performance, but that's okay, because we can come back and enable enhanced CPC later on after we know what keywords actually work and what keywords make sense to pay more for. So we're just trying to save our money and figure out what works before we start letting Google use their black box to essentially drive more traffic for us. So here are our three final settings: conversions, ad schedule, and ad rotation. So first we have conversions, which you need to skip unless you have a marketing geek like myself who set up a bunch of micro conversions for you. This can become an absolute mess. So if you're just getting started, please don't mess with your conversions. Next, we have our ad schedule. You only need to add an ad schedule if you only want to run ads while during your store hours, or if part of your sales process has sales calls and you need to be able to call your prospect pretty much when they see your ad. So if you don't want to be on the hook making a 12 a.m. call, then you're going to want to make sure that your ad schedule is set so your ads aren't showing up during times when you're not going to answer or make sales calls. Finally, we have ad rotation. And this is yet again where Google is trying to take the reins and control how our money is spent. And we're going to say, no, that's okay. It's our money. We're going to spend it how we like. And we're going to click on do not optimize. So what this will do is it will rotate evenly the traffic between your ads. And what this will allow you to do is clearly see which ad is better. When you optimize, Google essentially tries to figure out on its own which ad works better, but 9.9 out of 10 times we found that it does a really crummy job of doing this. So we pretty much always put it on rotate indefinitely. And like we said in our messaging section, we'll put it on rotate indefinitely because you always need to be changing and checking your ads anyway. That's a large part of what running a Google Ads campaign is. So you don't need Google to take this part over for you. And that does it for all of the actual settings for your campaign. So next we have our ads and our keywords. So we're going to do some ads, we're going to do some keywords, and then we're going to go back to ads. So the first thing we'll do with our ads is choose our ad extensions, because ad extensions typically go across the entire campaign as opposed to an ad group basis like our ads, which is why we can choose them here. So if you've done anything with Google Ads in the past, you will already have some ad extensions here. So we'll start with site links. So you can click on site links. You'll be able to see all the site links you've created in the past, or you can click on create new site link extension and enter your site link information. The site link text is always going to show up whenever your site links appear, and then you have your optional description lines. It's very important that your site link text is independent of your description line, and then you'll go ahead and have your final URL. You will need to make at least 2 of them for them to be activated. They have some advanced options here where you can choose time of day or device preferences, but when you're just getting started, go ahead and leave that alone. I'm going to click cancel since I've already created some site link extensions, and then we'll go down to call out extensions, and these are the text extensions that will show up below your description, and they are not clickable. Again, you need to have at least 2 of them, and there's a 25 character limit again. So we'll go ahead and skip the advanced options. We'll get fancy later. And then finally, we have call extensions. Now, this is something that's going to take a little bit to set up because you need to verify your phone number with Google. But this is the one place where you probably do want to go through the advanced settings if you don't want people calling you when you're at home. So you probably want to set this up so it's during business hours if you decide to use a call extension. And these extensions, by the way, are at Google's discretion. So what this means is you don't get to choose whether or not these extensions show up. Google will decide for you whether or not they show up, and there's no penalty for having them. So you might as well have them, because when you get higher in your rankings for your ad, you'll have a higher probability of these extra extensions showing up. And this is just a quick list of the other extensions that you can play with and go through. So we'll go ahead and click save and continue. I've chosen a couple of site links and call out extensions to use across the entire campaign. And now we're actually ready to start making our ad groups. Now, before we dive into all of the keywords we're going to be using and how to separate them, we need to quickly talk about the different types of keywords, because there's actually different things called match types. And so we have broad modifier, phrase, and exact. So all this means is, if you think of it as a funnel, broad means Google is going to try and match your ad to almost every search under the sun. So we actually don't want to do broad match keywords, because that means that you're essentially telling Google, hey, anything that's remotely related to this keyword, I want my ad to show up. So we're actually going to use phrase and exact. So phrase means that some combination of the keyword search term that you've entered needs to be in the actual search. So this ensures that your ads are only showing up for search phrases that actually make sense for your business. An exact match means when you put in your search term or your keyword, someone has to type in that exact phrase in that exact order in order for your ad to show up. So the exact match, you're going to get a very, very low impression rate, which means your ads aren't going to show up very much, whereas phrase, you're going to get a lot more traffic. So I just wanted to quickly touch on that. We could spend an entire video on how to use them, but let's save our dollars. Let's be focused, just do phrase, match, and exact match. Now, these are the keyword templates that we're going to be using for this campaign. I'm going to continue the example of a PPC agency. So I'm going to use location plus service, location plus profession, and then shopping around. If you were doing e-commerce, you would be doing shopping around and then having ad groups that specifically describe the products that you are offering. So our first ad group here is going to be location plus service. And I'm going to go ahead and type in Seattle PPC Management, AdWords Consultant, even though it's not called AdWords anymore, people still search for AdWords, and SEM, Search Engine Management Marketing. And then for the exact match, I'm actually going to put it in twice. So I'm going to put Seattle in the front, and then I'm also going to put Seattle in the back. It looks like I made a little spelling mistake there. And the reason that you do this is because Seattle PPC Management with exact match is different than PPC Management Seattle, because it's an exact match. And the way we tell Google that it is an exact match is by putting brackets. So you'll see that there are quotation marks around the keyword. That tells Google that this should be a phrase match. Now, if we wanted a broad match, we wouldn't do anything. We would just paste in the keyword, and that means broad. So that's how we differentiate our different terms. And then you also have the ability to get some more keyword ideas. You can come over here to the right-hand side and type in something very general and very broad, like PPC management or mountain bike. And then you can go ahead and go through these different keywords and see if any of them make sense with your ad group. So for your ad group, you don't want to have any more than 10 unique ones. So that means you're going to have a total of at least 20. That means 10 phrases and then their version of exact match. If you want to get fancy and try switching up some of the word order for your exact match, you can, but that's not necessarily required. So with that, we're done with our first ad group. Let's go ahead and make ad group number 2. And for here, we're going to do location plus profession. So we're just making a slight change to our keywords here. And then we're going to go ahead and drop them in again as phrase and then as exact. You'll notice that there aren't very many keywords that I'm dropping in here because you don't need that many keywords. We're being very broad with our keywords, so we're going to get a lot of traffic, and the search terms report is going to be very helpful after we've started seeing traffic come in to actually know whether or not these keywords are working. Again, we can go to the right hand side and type in a general term to get some more ideas. So in this particular instance, I could try PPC advertising agency or advertising management or advertising company because I don't have anything about advertising in my current keyword lists. And then finally, let's go ahead and make our last keyword group. And here we're just going to be targeting people who are shopping around, and we'll drop in our keywords there. You can always pause, timestamp table of contents if you want to take a closer look at the keywords that are being used. But this is really as advanced as you need to be when you're first getting started. So here I just have best PPC management agency and top PPC agency in Seattle. So I'm just trying different things to see which one sticks, because then after a week or two of running traffic, we'll actually start to refine and figure out which combinations of keywords actually get us the best results. And then we can worry about optimization and finding more keywords in our search term report. And of course, we can always check out what Google has to offer here. And one last step before we save and continue, you probably noticed we've been skipping our bid. So when we were setting up our campaign settings, we made sure that we took both hands on the wheel and told Google, no, we want manual CPC. So here is where we're going to set how much we're willing to pay per click. So you're paying per click. You're not paying every time your ad shows up. You're not paying every time someone makes a sale or someone gives you their contact information. This is just as basic as you can get. Every time someone clicks, you pay. The best place to start is really $2 or $3. So I'm going to put $2 here. Google, after a week, will actually start to tell you whether you need to spend more or you're okay spending less. You'll see on the right-hand side, it will start offering some projections of how much they think it's going to cost. But 9 out of 10 times, these projections have nothing to do with reality. So definitely take them with a grain of salt. So I'm going to go back up here, add $2 per click. You'll see our average CPC for ad group number 2 went to 18 cents, which I know for a fact is not true at all. And then we'll go up here and enter $2 per click again. So all of our ad groups, the default bid is $2 per click. Again, as traffic comes in, you'll actually start to adjust on a keyword basis how much you're willing to pay based upon the actual results you get. So let's go ahead and scroll back down and click save and continue. And once we do, we are on the home stretch here. If you're still watching, go ahead and hit that like button. We're going to create our ad. And what I recommend is having 2 text ads and totally skipping the responsive ads for now. Responsive ads are still in what I consider beta, even though Google doesn't say they are, because they don't show up all the time. And as you'll see, they want a ton of different headlines. So it makes it an absolute nightmare to figure out what headline is actually working. So we'll come down here and you'll just enter in your 3 headlines. You'll see headline number 3 and description number 2 are new, which means they're probably not going to show up. It's something Google's experimenting with. So you have 30 characters for your first 2 headlines, and then you have 90 characters for each one of your descriptions. Your URL path is a great place to create some urgency around your ad. So we'll go ahead and skip ahead to filling in all of the headlines, display, URL path, and of course the 2 descriptions. So this is what it could look like on mobile. You'll see free audit, ROI driven, about us, account ownership. Those are site links. So on mobile, they're just going to show up as a link, where on desktop, you'll see that there could possibly be some description. And then you'll see underneath strategy call and account review today, we have Google partner, ROI driven, contract free, and account ownership. Those are the call out extensions. So this would be an ideal scenario where for some reason Google thinks our ad is just amazing and they want to show everything we have. Typically, you're not going to get all of that real estate, especially when you're just getting started. And this is all we need for our ad. So we can go ahead and click on done and create next. The best way to figure out what on earth to put for your headline and your description and even your site links and your call outs is, of course, to take your keywords, type them into Google, and see what results are actually showing up for those search terms to get some inspiration. Keyword inspiration, not copying. And the display path is a great place to have things like free, limited time, or book or start now. So something to create urgency in your ad, because you can get away with being a little more urgent than you can in your headline and your body copy. Of course, Google might catch on eventually and be a little more strict, but for now, we'll use that display path for urgency. So we have our first ad. We'll go ahead and create our second ad here. I actually recommend pretty much doing everything the exact same. You'll see the only difference here, though, is in headline 1, we've added some brackets. So you'll shift bracket to create these special brackets, and you'll want to type in keyword, capitalize the K and the W, and then the colon, and then your actual title. So essentially what this is telling Google is to take the search term and make it your headline. And then if the search term doesn't fit in 30 characters, then go ahead and go with your normal headline. This is a great way to for a simple and easy split test. And so in our particular example, if someone typed in Seattle PPC management, instead of honest PPC management, the ad would actually read Seattle PPC management. So it's a great way to actually enter that conversation in your potential buyer's head and actually have your ad match exactly their vernacular of how they type things in or how they're doing their search. So it's a pretty ninja cool thing, and it's really simple to do. And you also don't have to come up with a bunch of different headlines. You can just start testing. So we'll go ahead and done and create next. Then it's going to ask you to make this responsive search ad. And as we go down here, you'll see that it wants a bunch of different headlines and a bunch of different descriptions. Just don't do this, because Google's going to rotate things and you're not going to know which headline or which description combination is working the best. And it's just a nightmare to try and analyze and figure out what's actually working. So we'll go ahead and click on cancel. And to save us some time, we're not going to make text ads for the next 2 ad groups. We're just going to go ahead and go through and click cancel on both of them. So here we've only made 2 text ads for our first ad group. The next 2 ad groups are blank, and we'll go ahead and click save and continue. And we can celebrate because we finally set up our campaign. So it's going to start next Thursday. It'll run for 2 weeks. We have it to 50 states and all of the United States, $10 a day, manual CPC, no campaign goal. Let's go ahead and continue to our campaign. Now, the very, very last thing we need to do is we have 2 ad groups that have no ads. And the reason we did that is because we didn't want to have to go through typing things twice. So we're going to come over here to the left-hand side and click on ads and extensions and select all 2 of your ads. So you can see the 2 ads that we made here, and then we'll select edit and we will copy. Command C or Control C also works. And then we'll wait for this little message at the bottom to tell us that 2 ads have been copied. Even if you're using hotkeys, you need to make sure that this little pop-up shows up. I can't count how many times I didn't give the platform long enough to actually do what I wanted it to do, which is actually copy. So once you have that, you're good to go. We can go over here, click X, and then we can immediately click on paste. And this little pop-up will show up with all of our campaigns. So we'll go ahead and select the campaign that we're working on, and then we're going to select the 2 ad groups that we don't have any ads for, and we'll go ahead and click on done. Now, before we hit paste, we do need to check that box. If it already exists in destination, create duplicate. For some reason, we found that in some people's accounts, even though the ad isn't in those ad groups, sometimes it says that it already is and it won't duplicate. And it won't create the actual copy. So just go ahead and check that box to make sure that it does. We'll click on paste. And now, as you can see, we have our 2 ads across all 3 of our ad groups. So we'll go back to our campaign at the top here, and congratulations, you have created your first Google search campaign. You are ready to go. Let this run run for 2 weeks and then come in here and start looking at your impressions and your cost per click. And your goal here is to figure out what keyword do you think is going to give you the best results and what ads are getting the best click-through rate. You'll pause the ads that aren't working and then create another ad. So you always have at least 2 ads running inside of each one of your ad groups because you're always testing for improvement. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you have a lot more confidence when it comes to putting together your search campaign. Comment below if you have any questions. And as always, keep building the business you love.